What's up, guys? If you made it to this video, there is a chance that you're like a lot more people than you realize in your 20s, and you just don't know what the hell you're doing, where the hell you're going, and you can't even figure out what the hell you want for breakfast. So in this video, we want to address where this uncertainty and this confusion comes from in our 20s, and more importantly, what a quarter life crisis is. So stick around for that, okay? All right, guys, we got no time to waste. What is a quarter life crisis? Let's get right into this. So really, I want you to think of it this way. We throw this term around a lot, quarter life crisis, but the reality is it's not just used as like a joke or a way we kind of screw around in our 20s, but really across the past 11 years, specifically in this last decade, this term was coined through a lot of research, a lot of psychological analysis and research and data gathering and experimentation. So this is really a legit term. And what a quarter life crisis is yes, comparable to the more common midlife crisis. It all comes down to this psychological challenge people can or may face in their lifetime, which is an identity crisis. The quarter life crisis is an identity crisis at its most basic level, okay? So again, you hear this term thrown around a lot as we kind of joke about adulting, moving into adulthood. Oh shit, I'm going through a quarter life crisis. I just got divorced. I just got into a new relationship. I just moved, married, pregnant, all kinds of good stuff, right? It is a legit thing, and you can be in a quarter life crisis if you're going through these things, but also you don't have to have some huge shit going on in your life to signal that you're in a quarter life crisis. And I want you to remember that, because it's easy for us to look for these big things like a huge breakup, getting a new job, moving across the country, and that's not always the case. You see, the crisis can be going on internally, and that's that. Maybe your job and relationship and everything else seem fine, but on the inside, there's havoc going on inside your damn mind. So keep in mind, the quarter life crisis isn't always just some external like thing where you're like, that person's life is fucked. It doesn't always work like that. So let's be clear on that point. To also simplify this for you guys, I want you to walk away with this one thing if you don't remember anything. And the quarter life crisis is really made up of one primary emotion, but I'm going to tack in a second one. But when you think of quarter life crisis, think of this: uncertainty. It's uncertainty about the quality and direction of one's life, okay? So, and with that comes anxiety, right? Especially at our age, there's so much anxiety. And when I say our age, I mean people in their 20s, early or late 20s, even early 30s. This is a time of more anxiety than what you may feel later on in life. Although more responsibilities come up later in life, we get better at handling these things. And I'm not just making shit up here. This is proven through research that as life goes on, actually some of the most stressful times and times where we're most likely to be depressed or struggling mentally is in our 20s to early 30s. So it's literally a chart, and maybe I'll show it on here for you guys, but we get better at handling our emotions as we get older, and basically we have less shit to deal with, at least we think. Whether that's true or not, we don't know, but the data does tell us we're our most stressed and our blood pressure is the highest when we are in our 20s, early 30s. Now, another way I want you guys to look at this quarter life crisis thing, because again, this term is confusing, is think of it this way. It's your time of transition, literally from when we are going from childhood to adulthood, whether literally like you're going from 18 into 19, or maybe you're in your late 20s and you're going from being more of a child to an adult. You're taking on more responsibility. I can't be more clear on this fact that the quarter life crisis is going to range anywhere from 18 all the way up to about like 30, 34, I would say. So keep that in mind. It's not literally at 25. It's not always in your 20s either. It can be as early as 18, like in my own personal experience. So shit hit the fan a little earlier for me than it typically does for this thing. But the point remains the same. It's that time of transition in somebody's life where their responsibilities are changing, a lot of stuff is changing, and they're really moving into this role of adulthood. Okay, time for my favorite thing ever, the hard truth of the day. So I want you guys to listen to this closely so you can get the most value out of this, and it's this. If you're not sure if you're in a quarter life crisis or what it is or what the hell is going on with you, you just know you feel like shit or you're confused or you don't understand life, I want you to understand this one fact here. If you don't know who you are or where you're going in life, the reality is you're not fully an adult. You're still living, at least part of you is still living as a child. It still is a child. And you need to understand that. That is the harsh truth. Harsh truth. You may be, again, like in your early 30s and you're hearing this shit, but really that's part of adulthood. That's part of truly stepping into who we are as a person, identifying, understanding who we are and like what we're here to do, what we want. So understand and face that harsh truth for yourself if you're ready, that if you don't got those two things locked down or you don't at least have some idea of what those answers are, of who you are and what you want out of life, you're still living partially in childhood. You're not fully developed and fully mature as an adult. Now, I want to give you guys 2 big tips that are going to help you out with this, because this is something like so many people are going through or will go through, but they don't know, they can't put a name to it. They don't know what a quarter life crisis actually is. They don't know what's actually going on, or they just feel like a bitch for identifying with this term and they avoid it. But here's 2 things to look out for how the quarter life crisis will manifest in your life. And it's the identity crisis, as we kind of talked about, and it can also be through an existential crisis. So let's explain both of these real quick. Now, an identity crisis, it's exactly what it sounds like. This can happen when you're in your 20s and you maybe have a big shift in career, or you're in a career path you think you like. You went to college, you went to law school to be a lawyer. Maybe you went for physical therapy. You want to be a physical therapist. You start the job and you go, this shit literally sucks. I don't want to do this anymore. Part of your identity is being reevaluated, maybe even denied. When you hit that moment of, this is not what I want, I don't enjoy this like I thought. Same thing goes for either the ending or the beginning of a relationship, specifically romantic or intimate relationships. You see, part of our identity is unveiled, or it's kind of killed or buried when a relationship ends or begins. So remember that when you think of identity crisis, it's not really like completely who you are that is in crisis, but it's parts of us that are in crisis. The part of us relating to our careers, the part of us that wanted to be a lawyer but now doesn't fucking like want to do that anymore. The part of us that was dating this person and was with this person but now doesn't have them. Parts of us go into confusion or chaos, and that's where this identity crisis comes up. The second way your quarter life crisis might manifest is through the existential crisis. So again, maybe it's not an identity crisis. Maybe you're not confused on really who you are or your job or your relationship. Maybe you got that shit locked down, or maybe you're like, I don't really care. It's not bothering me. Here's the other big kicker for people. The existential crisis is literally when you're questioning existence, you're questioning life, you're asking these big questions that you got to understand our brain struggles to understand or comprehend to begin with, especially when we look at science and spirituality. These things might provide some cushion for us or some support for us to understand and journey through life, but our mind can't always comprehend what is actually like going on. What is existence? What is all this about? Why am I here? What happens after? If you're asking those questions, you're leaning more towards the struggle in the quarter life crisis that's existential. These bigger questions are coming up in your life. You don't have answers. Maybe you don't even want the fucking answers. You just know you're terrified or confused, or the other version, you're just bored out of your mind. You see no purpose. So those are those 2 ways this quarter life crisis thing might come up. You're just questioning your identity, who you are, or you're really questioning everything. Like literally you have no idea what anything is or what the hell's going on in life. So keep an eye out for if you're asking those types of questions or those are the things you're struggling with, you definitely more than likely could be going through a quarter life crisis or coming up on one. Another thing I really want to highlight so that you can get through this if you're stuck in it now, or avoid it if you feel like it's coming your way in life, is understanding where this quarter life crisis really comes from at a deeper level. And it's really from 2 things, which is your past conditioning and rigid beliefs. So let's dive into those a little bit. So when I say past conditioning or limiting or rigid beliefs are what contributes to your quarter life crisis, here's what I mean. You got to understand this crisis is happening because essentially you can't answer two questions, which is who am I and what do I want? As simple as those questions sound, that's what this is about. The reason we have a challenge with answering those sometimes is because we are taught, we are raised, we are shown how things should be. Or we create our own ideas or interpretations from our experience early on in life of how things should be. When you have these should be's, when you have these little blueprints of the way things should be, but then your mind starts coming up with things you prefer, things you like or you enjoy, sometimes shit clashes. We have a clash of internally what you want and what should be done. So another way I want you to think of this is this crisis comes to be when your map of reality of the way things should be, and I really want you to catch this word, should. The way things should be in your mind is not how your life actually looks. So since I just talked about past conditioning and rigid beliefs being a cause of this crisis, I want to give you a quick example so that you understand. Now, there's something I want you to be aware of, and I got it written down over here, but it's called the middle class paradigm. More commonly known to people as something we call the American dream. So these are two different labels for the same thing, but when I talk about the American dream or the middle class paradigm, this is a prime example of something that is a past condition. It's a condition in us. It's a belief in us about, again, as I said, how things should be. Not how they are, not how they will be, not even how you want them to be, but this is a condition in us of how things should be. I also want to emphasize, I'm not saying this is bad, but I am saying I want you to question if it's necessarily what you want or the way you see life. So I call it the middle class paradigm instead of the American dream because also the word paradigm is just a set of conditioned beliefs or behaviors that is passed on from generation to generation. Your family might have a paradigm of maybe it's alcoholism or a paradigm of being really loud people. You're just loud as shit. These are all paradigms, behaviors passed on and on. The middle class paradigm is this belief that's been passed on about at least 100 years now that what a good life is made up of certain things. This isn't bad. It's great to have a blueprint and a dream or a goal of how life should be, but you gotta understand this. If it's not what you want, but you're told this is what will make you happy, getting this job, getting a nice middle class job, white picket fence, all that, nice home, owning a car, getting more possessions, getting raises, moving up the corporate ladder. If that shit isn't actually what you want, but you're told it's what you want because it's what will make you happy, like we said, you're gonna clash. Shit's gonna get mixed up. You're gonna be disillusioned. You're not gonna understand, well, I was told if I get these things, I'll be happy. I'm getting these things. I'm not feeling any happier. These are the things you got to be aware of. This is a conditioned belief that is a part of most of us. I know at least it was a part of me as I was raised. I had this full belief in that if I achieved this American dream, that's where happiness would come from. That's not necessarily going to be the case for everyone. The bigger picture of what this quarter life crisis is, as I said, it's anxiety and uncertainty about the quality and direction of your life. This doesn't have to be something specific, but typically it's going to be with relationships, relating to your career, relating to where you want to live, and again, just purpose, a deeper thing of what you want out of life. Also, I want to recap that this quarter life crisis thing is going to come from something we call incongruency or misalignment. And what that means is you have a map of reality from childhood, from parents, from teachers, from friends of what you should want in life, what you think you want in life, how life should be, and then you have how life is actually going, and also these unconscious parts of you that want certain things that maybe you don't want to admit or you don't even realize you want. So when these things aren't lined up, shit hits the fan again. You're not going to feel fulfilled. You're not going to be in alignment with who you actually are. Now, if you are struggling with this quarter life crisis thing, I want to tell you the exact step you need to take from here to really deal with this. And it's very simple. but you need to get into alignment with one thing before you can change or really enjoy your life or get through this crisis. You need to get into alignment with who you actually are. You are not going to be able to achieve what you want or know what you want out of life until you first address the identity crisis portion of this, which is answering the 1,000-year-old question of who am I? If you can't know who you are, you can't accurately know what you actually want. So for those of you who lack that clarity or feel that incongruency with who you are, you don't really know who you are, or you thought you did, but it turns out that job sucks ass and it's not what you want to do. It's what your parents wanted you to do. And that relationship really wasn't right for you, but you stayed in it because you were scared. Whatever it might be, if you want that clarity and you want to try to figure out who am I so I can get congruent with it, I definitely invite you to book a call with me. This is exactly what I go over with all of my clients. And I want you to walk away with this concept of alignment. The solution to the quarter life crisis is really getting into alignment with exactly who you are and what you actually want. So best of luck to you guys. I hope to see you on a call. Go ahead, and the link's going to be below, and we can book that, get some clarity around that, and start moving you into alignment and out of the quarter life crisis. Hope this served. Definitely go ahead, like and subscribe so you see future videos about the quarter life crisis and about getting through your 20s successfully. All right, I appreciate you guys watching this video, and I will see you next time.